Tigers, go 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 Tigers.
Locked out. Even I can't get past the security.
Hi, Ben.
Hi, George. How's it going?
It's going all right.
Mother, there is no other like mother, so treat her right. Mother, I always love her, my mother, so treat her right, treat her right. Your children and your children's children will be subjugated. They will be asked, have you been a good little Nazi? Hail Fauci!
Perhaps you remember your first edible. The recount to take us off the air tonight. That is our broadcast.
Okay. And how do you feel about that? Okay. Okay.
Oh.
Wanna have you hear me? I wanna have you hear me say it.
Stay bombad. Welcome to the Bombadcast.
Fear. Fear is the mind killer. Tim Cook once said. Bombad fam. Look at this. Late night Bombad. Just what you've always wanted. I think you've always gotten that, though. I don't think that's anything different than normally how we're used to doing it. Oh, what's going on? It's me, Scotty J with the Bombadcast. Super, super excited to be here because we got a lot to talk about with an incredible movie. Before we do that, some plugs in. Look at this. Bombadcast live every Thursday, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. I know it's a little bit later than normal, but I'm glad you're still here to join us and to hang out, especially with the topic that we're talking about. Let's whip out our hogs on Bombadcast. Let's do that. Yeah, no, look at these faces. These are champions right here. Every Thursday, our main show, but every Tuesday. Oh my God. Look at this student of Star Wars. Let's go with the hogs. Some super chats. That's Bombad After Dark. It's Bombad something. And you know, you can see it right here. Look at this guy. That's Jerry. He's got a show, Hyperfocus. We had Jackson Delepe on it most recently, and he did not show us his hog, which is his prized farm animal. But I can tell you this much. It was a great event. I don't even know if they talked about anything. I watched about, I would say, 13/16 of it. I don't think most people don't use fractions that way, but I'm going to use it because it just happens to be Hyperfocus. It was great, though. I mean, they talked about Christian movies when Jackson was under the influence of spice. It's just been a whole thing. That being said, that's Hyperfocus.
Okay.
See, that's what you get when you watch Hyperfocus. And then every Wednesday, look at this. Look at that weird anime face I have in that logo. I still can't get over that look. Jerry's came out amazing, but mine came out like a little anime girl. That being said, happy to be here. Super excited. Bombad Gaming as well every Wednesday. We got Metroid Dread next week. And then William made me have a good idea about what I'm going to do in November, but you'll hear from that soon. Anyway, let me show my beautiful face. Wow. Look at the green background. This is new. Let me know what you think. I'm trying to emulate my boy. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Let's bring him in. My boy. How we looking? Look at the green.
boy.
Green on green.
Look at
Green
that.
on green.
Get your green. Get your green
There
on.
was
Just
not a
like
lot-
Jackson's hog.
Yes. Dude, there was not a lot of green in this movie. There was not. There was a
No, there was a
stark
tiny bit
li-
at the beginning, but it was very grayscale green.
Yes.
So.
On Caledon, dude, we just both saw a huge movie, but different ways. I kind of want to start that off with this conversation. We're talking Dune tonight, people, and we've been kind of going on like a pop culture kick. We really haven't talked about Star Wars these past like 3 weeks. We talked about Men in Black.
We've been spooky. We
talked about what did we talk about at the beginning of this month? Men in Black.
We talked about we talked about
Bond?
Star Wars Terrifying Tales.
Okay, we did that, and we
That's
talked
how
about
we
Bond.
started off. That's how we started off.
So, man, I could tell you
And
this
we're gonna
much.
go back to it. We're gonna go back to it next week. We got our
Oh
to do another
my
plug.
god!
All you guys need to send us your Star Wars
Creepypastas.
creepypasta.
Right in mind this weekend.
Year two of the Star Wars creepypasta on Bombadcast.
I'll get a hint
Guys,
too.
it's gonna be insane.
Michael has sent an auto file of 25 minutes long, and Pete has sent one with 19 minutes long. So
It's gonna
we
be a
are
long
in
one.
for a literal treat with this one. This is Jerry's favorite child right here. He loves the creepypasta thing. It's one of my favorite things to do every year. So look at this. Look
I
who
love
saw
it.
the movie with me. You know who that is. That's your boy.
What?
That's Troy. Yeah, dude. Troy Gyro.
Troy,
We
my
saw-
boy.
We saw he sat in the row above me because we got tickets last minute, and
So we could reach over and grab, like in the stadium.
Well-
It was stadium seating, right?
yep.
You'd reach over the seats and just like rub your shoulders. Go look, dude, look at the worm,
Dude.
Scotty.
Dude,
worm.
so at no point that happened, but the movie had one of those things where you could feel the room, right? And it was kind of weird. I was the only one that clapped at the very end of it. I don't know if people aren't in the mood for clapping on a Thursday night, but my God, it was good. Jerry,
A lot
You
of
had a
people
very
have a weird
different
thing about
experience.
clapping at movies.
Yes.
It's just like a thing. It's like people who are get upset at people for wearing a mask in their car.
yeah,
And they're just like they get like irrationally angry at someone just living their life and stuff. So I don't really know what the deal with that is. F that noise. But
So
what, Scotty? What, buddy?
you saw it a different way than I did. I saw it in a
Yes.
Dolby theater, and I don't know if my viewing was more superior than yours, but I can be honest with you, having the seat like shake and rumble when like the worm would show up or whenever like the drums would get huge. I don't know. It had the best audio design of any movie I've ever seen. Like beat every Star Wars movie by a long shot. The audio design for this movie was truly perfect.
Yeah.
Like even if you didn't like the story or the actors in it, I don't think anyone could say that the audio wasn't good or the actual quality of it. But Jay, what was it
Right.
like seeing it at home? Because you have
Well,
a good
so I
sound
watched
system.
I watched it on my Apple iWatch, because
Cool.
that's the way it was. I'm just kidding. I watched it on my 60-inch TV with my
4K.
Bose, my hand-me-down Bose system. I
It's still
lucked my
Bose.
way into that. And I got it in the divorce. So hey,
Yeah.
But yeah, so it was it still felt very cinematic and
Yeah,
everything.
sure.
Because had I had time to go to the theater tonight, I probably would have gone because I usually will go to see things like this. But the showing, there was only one showing at my local theater. Blah blah
Yeah.
blah blah.
Are you going
But-
to go see it in theaters?
I'm thinking about it.
I'm gonna do all
Honestly, next
three.
weekend.
Okay, good.
I'm going to the movies tomorrow night, but that is to see Ron's Gone Wrong with my baby girl because
That's gonna be great.
that's her most anticipated of the year is Ron's Gone Wrong.
That's
And
awesome.
we, by George, are going to see that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I agree, Troy.
I mean, there were times where, I had to turn it down because it was rumbling, and I live in an apartment complex and stuff. I was afraid my neighbors were going to come, banging on my door, like, "Are you letting sandworms run around your apartment? What's happening in there? What's happening?
Yeah.
Are you mining for spice?"
That's what
So
it felt like.
it seriously did. It was very it still felt epic, but
Yeah.
I could see why this is something that you would want to see this in
Sure.
a theater. You would want to see it in a theater.
So I'm thinking, and I think I'm not saying you should do this, but I'm seeing it again tomorrow, probably. I'm going to see it tomorrow night in IMAX. So I saw it in Dolby. I'm going to see it in IMAX. I might go see it in standard digital, and then I'm going to watch it at home. I want to see this movie like 5 or 6 times. It's one of those like event movies. I think there is going to be like The Force Awakens was. Like I remember seeing The Force Awakens 8 times. Like I was like, just like I want to see this in theaters. And I mean, at the very beginning, and they haven't really marketed this way, and I think that's clever. But at the beginning, you saw it. It said Dune Part 1.
Dune Part 1. It flashes so fast too.
Oh, it was great. There
Dune
was
Part
nothing
1,
like
trying
that.
to get it past the studio because it hasn't been greenlit yet.
Yes,
Dune Part 1.
Dude,
Yell
so
at the
true.
studio.
Do you think it's greenlit now? I think there's been rumbles that it has been, but do you think it's?
I mean, we might get word after the weekend.
Sure, I hope
something.
so. It was great. It was great. It should be greenlit.
Yeah,
that's all I'm going to say. It should be.
Well,
greenlit,
and I mean the way they ended it and everything, like I mean, I honestly called it the last trailer I watched that has, or there was like a preview.
Yeah.
Are we getting into spoilers tonight, Scotty?
I mean, it's been out for a couple of hours and then look, I'm not trying to sound like this guy, but it's been out literally for a couple of hours. On
you are
HBO.
the guy from IGN or whatever,
I
whatever
don't
it is.
care.
Whoever's been spoiling. No, I'm just kidding. You're not.
It is
You're not.
It is already on HBO. So, like, if you want to watch this stream,
if you're here,
hey, how about this, Jerry? I'm gonna be honest with you.
Have you seen the 1980s one? I mean,
yeah, of course. Have you seen 80s one? There's a TV series, but also to not be a jerk here, the book's been around since the early 60s. So, like, you have had enough time. You've had enough time to read or watch this, so hopefully you don't get spoiled. I mean, I don't know why you would be like avoiding this. Then don't watch this.
Well, all I was going to say was there was like the shot of Zendaya going, "This is just the beginning," is literally like the last line of the movie.
Last line of the movie. Yep. 100%.
I called it. I was like, I bet that's the last line because it just feels like there's more adventure to be had.
I think it's interesting because the way they wrapped it up with the actors that they got, I really do think in its own right, I think this show, if the next one is as successful as this first one, we could see, they have a bunch of books, The Children of Dune, The Worms of Dune, The Story of Dune. Like, they have a bunch of different
franchise completely.
It could be a new franchise that goes straight through Warner Brothers. It could compete with DC and Marvel. I would go see these movies and shows. If they had a weekly drop, I would in a heartbeat. The lore is amazing.
Well, here's my thing, because Dune is kind of the predecessor to all of it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, except for Marvel,
Lord of the Rings,
but like,
yeah.
Star Wars and everything, that Dune was first.
Yep.
And it seems like that Frank Herbert's Dune really influenced a ton of science fiction thereafter. A ton.
100%.
Because a lot of stuff, and a lot of stuff in there is just completely it feels very Star Wars, but it was very much its own flavor. And just here's my quick review: someone forced me to watch the 1980s Dune.
I've made everyone else watch.
It took me 2 times to get through. Like, I watched it, waited like 3 weeks, and then finished it because I was like, apologies for those of you who it wasn't for me. I was like,
it's not good.
That's
don't apologize.
Clearly
Just
Patrick.
Admit that's a garbage movie.
Listen, I love Patrick Stewart. I love him in like X-Men and everything, but like seeing him in that Dune movie back in the day, I was like, that's clearly just Patrick Stewart.
Yeah.
In a in a laser box.
Literally.
That surrounds his body and stuff. Like the shield thing. The shield thing was, by the way, I love the shield thing in this new one.
How they executed was amazing with the one part with the dart. I'm like, oh God, what's gonna happen. Oh, brutal.
But you were talking about how this is a franchise, or how it could be a franchise, and everything.
Troy said here too.
Everything. Oh, it is. It is. But here's my thing: is like they just put out a trailer or something and said the next Lord of the Rings, Star Wars is here.
Yeah.
And I've seen that they said that about Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. It's not a Star Wars level.
Yeah.
Marvel is like that whole story, but Guardians of the Galaxy, I'm like, that's not a Star Wars. That's a piece of another franchise.
Sure. Yeah, I get that.
This is a beginning to something it is the first thing in a long time that's actually tried to take that moniker and put it on, like slap that on a trailer that I've gone, okay, I see it.
Fits.
Yeah.
It fits. Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I mean, I need to watch it again, I think, maybe. But like I liked what I saw. I liked it a lot more. I enjoyed it. I love Denis Villeneuve. Denis Villeneuve's vision, his science fiction and all that.
Oh, his choice of everything is incredible. That's why I dug it so much. Like the way he shot certain scenes.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Oh, he's got an eye for beautiful, breathtaking shots and just like rolling vistas throughout this entire movie and everything. But this there was something about this did strike me as a little, it stood out to me a little more than some other science fiction of modern day and everything, which again, it's like it feels like I haven't read the book. Okay. Yeah. So I can't speak to that, but it seems like to me, they're doing justice to something I saw a long time ago that I didn't really care for. That now I'm like, okay, I want to see what happens next. I'm interested. Yeah. I'm intrigued now. I can follow this a lot better and things like that. So,
well, so for anyone that hasn't seen the David Lynch version, I want to kind of explain one thing to you. The movie is very rushed. So the first hour of David Lynch's movie is the whole 2 hours and 45 minutes of this movie. So like it's jarring when you watch David Lynch's Dune compared to this one, at least. Like the costume design, the actual feeling of the whole movie itself was incredible. Like the Bene Gesserit, the lady with the box part, I'm like, this is terrifying, you know. Put your hand up.
That whole thing, like they felt like terrified, like they called them witches and stuff, and I was like, they felt very esoteric and stuff. In this, I looked up I looked up Dune on IMDb, the 1980s one as well.
Oh yeah,
just to see, because I wanted to see who played who back in the day, because it's crazy. So Jason Momoa is Duncan, Idaho, which is probably the most. I think when I watched the other one, I was like, that's the dumbest name for a character I've ever heard. Duncan, Idaho. That's something that took me out of it. Like in the old one, I was like, Paul, Duncan,
Jessica,
like, who the hell, Jessica? Like, yeah, like. That reminds me of a comedian, Zoltan Kazak's does a bit where he rescued a cat named Jessica, and he's like, we're not gonna like, yo, did you change your name? No, you're not gonna change your name. You don't just see like, oh, okay, I can't pronounce that, you're Jeff now. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here, but please say something, because you were saying about
what I was even saying. You were comparing.
I got off on the Jessica thing.
Let me explain what you were doing. I'll teach you. What you were saying was that you were comparing the old cast to the new cast.
Oh,
and then your brain got.
What I was going to say was I saw I don't know which character this was, but it was someone with the most impressively thick and short. Like he had Adolf Hitler mustaches for eyebrows. I forget which character it was.
Yeah.
It's like they just took two little Adolf Hitler mustaches and just beefed them up a little bit. Put a little bit of like perm in it.
And it was like curled up. I know exactly what you're talking about.
So looked like he should have been in The Wizard of Oz.
David Lynch's was just so extreme. Like the fact that they had and this one they didn't. Okay, so this one they avoided showing a couple of things. They didn't show the Emperor. They didn't show the Emperor's daughter. They didn't show the time traveling organisms, which were really weird in David Lynch's Dune. That was the one that like rolled out in that tank and it was like breathing like
whale
that.
Thing? I kept waiting for that thing.
Me
to show
too.
up.
I was waiting for something like that. We didn't see that. Not in this one at least. So I love what they did though with the Baron Harkonnen when he was.
I was about to say.
Oh my God, Stellan Skarsgård was
terrifying,
amazing with the oil. The oil, then he was in the mist, that one thing, and like the way he would float up.
I think the oil part towards the end was my favorite part with him, because something he says that he like goes beneath, and the way that it stays on there where it's got like the light oil and the dark oil mixing was a very beautiful, very
haunting, very
haunting, but also just very like that was telling part of the story. It was like, this is the pure evil mixing with like this guy is just complete corruption.
Oh yeah.
With this he's trying to corrupt this entire environment and
Mm-hmm.
everything. And yeah, oh my gosh, the Harkonnen, like House Harkonnen, is completely like
Oh, it's
it was.
perfect.
I'm not okay, not gonna lie. And again, I'm sorry if you love the 1980s Dune. I'm really sorry. I'm not trying to be too salty about it. I didn't
You
grow
can
up with it.
salt on it. It's fine.
I'm
Don't have to
about to
apologize.
salt. I'm about to salt the. I'm gonna
It's
salt
not
bay
good.
the heck out of
It's
it.
a shitty
I'm gonna,
movie.
I'm gonna salt bay the heck out of it. They were the Harkonnens were laughable.
Oh, the last
in
one?
the other one. I mean, like Sting is like
I know,
the way,
Sting.
like I laughed and was like, "What the hell am I watching?" When he started floating and that. Whereas this, it was creepy and
Oh, it
weird.
was like
and
droning.
what the
up.
hell was that spider thing, too? By the
Mhm.
way,
That was weird as shit. I
was like,
I don't remember that at
what
all. I know.
even
And it was
thinking
like,
about it, I'm like,
make it go away.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm creeped out just even thinking about it right now.
Yeah.
It's like a human bred to be a spider or
So
something.
weird.
Like,
And
so
the
weird.
design with them having no eyebrows in this movie,
My
and that little
pet.
mark on their lip. I'm like, this is really sick. Like, it was terrifying. And the fact that we had Dave Bautista playing the role of
Well, I was gonna
Sting, so cool.
I think Dave Bautista, this is, I think, his best role ever. I think he did fantastic.
Wasn't
Because
extreme
people
at all.
people kind of downplay his acting, but he's
Oh,
really
yeah.
grown. I
he
feel
really
like.
has.
And he really, there was a moment in there where he raises his voice at one point and
Mhm.
like starts like that felt so real and so visceral. I loved
Yeah.
that. Oh man. Yeah. Anyway, he was great. He was great. I want more of
So,
him.
This is true, though. I'm gonna get kicked by Boop. I don't hate it. It's just not a good movie. It's pretty garbage compared to what we just watched. It's like if I were to make Dune in my closet. Okay, it's like it's just so good.
I can't separate because like by the time I saw it, I was a full grown man and I could see all of.
Too.
I've seen all of these actors in so many other things that I was like, that's Kyle MacLachlan. Right
Yeah,
there. Like,
literally.
That's literally the guy from like all of these. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the last time I saw before I watched the thing, and I was like, that's what's her name's dad from yeah. Okay.
Oh my god. But no, this is true too. Like there were some parts
Sorry,
that were
Boop.
super Star Wars to me. Like truly, like in my heart. Like
Yeah.
I was like Denny could do like when they had the shots of the spaceships going across the skyline and everything.
Yeah.
Like, man, this really could be a Star Wars like that in that way. Which you see all these modern day sci-fi movies like the new Star Treks and everything, and you can make the disconnect. But this movie was pretty hard for me to make like the Star Wars disconnect. Like this really could be within its own universe a Star Wars thing.
Well, if it felt like we talked about before, like seeing another galaxy, it felt like another galaxy.
Yes, a part of
Star
the
Wars.
universe. I completely agree.
I loved how it felt so old world.
Yes,
yet so new. Like it felt like literally when they go to the planet with the soldiers.
Yes,
and the dude, I was laughing. I was like, "That's a little." It's kind of funny the way the dude's like, but it also felt very like again very esoteric, very kind of creepy, very scary. There was a very creepy vibe to a lot of the esoteric. Yeah, it just felt very I don't know, like very religious in a dark way.
Well, yeah. So the part where they're calling for the Messiah from the jail pen, or like that little area that they were waiting behind, Messiah, whatever the name is, Abdul.
Well,
I forget the exact name. It's amazing.
Is that the scene where they're putting the blood on their head and like?
No. I'm talking about the scene where Paul is first walking out of the palace in Arrakis, and they're all like reaching to the bars, all those people, all those Fremen reaching to the bars, calling him Messiah. I was like, that is sick, because like that is any sort of radical religion, like they have that kind of belief. They thought he's the one. And I'm sitting there the whole time like, man, it's really kind of putting, a lot of the faith that we, understand and kind of see points of view of on its head. Unlike the old Dune, where like that's not even discussed. The only thing that's discussed is that Paul's the chosen one, but like you don't see how important that is. In this movie, I'm sitting here going, so he is the Messiah. He is the next thing,
He is
to them.
That's
it was
that
great.
level of thing, and that's why this is so. it's very what's the word I'm looking for? It's not high concept, but it's just a very so Star Wars is a fun adventure.
Yes.
And so is like, Lord of the Rings is it's
Can
got
be
its fun
fun.
moments, but it's
Oh, yeah.
different. I mean, it's more of it's its own animal too. And this
Yeah.
feels, again, just like we said, just as important, but it's more serious. It feels like it's going to
Very
deal with a lot
serious.
more real world
Yes.
politics,
Yes.
beliefs, and things that people don't usually like in their sci-fi movies. Frankly.
Exactly.
And I'm
That's
intrigued by that because there's a lot of like imperialism and things like that, like people coming to a planet, even though they were going, House Atreides was going to, we're going to make
Side
allies
with
of these people.
Yep.
We're going to do, but at the same time, they were still going. They still came in as an oppressor, essentially, and everything.
So good.
Because they came in with and to see, like, at the beginning when they come in and the Fremen says, you come here and you take and you give nothing, and Paul just interjects and says, "You're right."
Yep. Awesome.
That was like, I was kind of like, okay.
Yep.
I
That's
like
his
you.
character.
I like you.
And it's funny when you watch a movie like this, it's really, like you said, you're used to the happy-go-lucky feeling of most of these science fiction movies or Marvel movies in particular. But like you watch this one and you're like, man, everything felt really, really serious. And I'm watching it going, man, they kept upping the stakes with each scene.
Yeah,
What do you say?
this honestly, it's a koi genre. Excuse me, genre. Blah, blah, read,
Koi
please.
Jandro, is that me?
Jandro.
Scott Jarro? No, I'm just kidding. Made a good comparison. This is the Godfather to
I
Star
can't
Wars
talk.
Scarface.
I can't read
true.
Cajun. I'm sorry, I can't read Cajun. That's what it is. No, that's the point I think I was trying to make. It's like that's a great comparison. That's a great comparison.
Wow, that's a good point. I hadn't thought about that because I mean, if you really take a moment, you've got everything that makes a good Star Wars movie. You got familial drama, okay? You've got conflict of interest. You got a bad guy
Space wizards.
who's obviously a bad guy. You got a good guy who's obviously a good guy. No gray. The only gray area is the Fremen. But like you've got all these things that are really good Star Wars DNA, but it's not Star Wars and it's in a different universe. There's no force powers, but the idea of visions and dreams in this movie was very, very cool. Like I want that in a Star Wars. We kind of got that in some parts of the sequel trilogy, but like give me movies about that. And I made a poster. I'm like, would I be okay with Denis Villeneuve, making a Star Wars and like just saying,
I saw this.
just saying screw canon? Yeah, I'd be completely fine with that. If he can make a movie as dramatic and as serious that's, PG-13, if he can pull that off.
I kept having to
Wars,
check because there were sometimes with the blood where I was like, there's a lot. I was waiting for more gore and stuff to have because this just felt like it was edging right there. It doesn't feel, and again, not like I'm not like, oh yeah, it's for grown-ups, it's gonna have lots of blood, boobs,
exactly.
And, the 3 B's: blood, boobs, and butts.
I think there was more boobs in David Lynch's version, and I'm not kidding. I think there was a nude scene, wasn't there?
Yeah. Well, I don't remember, but I've only seen it once, and I paused on that. So, no, I'm just kidding. No,
would you want him to make a movie?
I would be down for him working in the Star Wars universe. I mean, I don't think he has to break canon, but at the same time, I think he could do. If he wants to do a Visions style project, if he wants or something, but like, I think that he could do something definitely interesting if he wanted to and things like that. So
it's funny because like
I'd be up for it.
They've got creators now where you're like, man, like Bong Joon-ho. No, is that his name? Whoever made Parasite. Is it?
Oh, I don't
know. Either way. I've always wanted to see his version of Star Wars. I think Chloe Zhao, who's going to be doing, Eternals, let's see her version of a Star Wars. Like, I want to see these big directors get a story that's more unique, more Star Wars. Dune was this really awesome compromise between, kind of Game of Thrones house, problems versus the Star Wars like themes and like really big, concept with space. And I'm just impressed the fact that when I left that movie, I was blown away, which I think I knew I was. But the trailers really didn't give, like, most trailers, I would say, give about 20% of the movie away. I would say this one did about 15%. Like, I knew when certain scenes were coming based on the trailer, but like there were some things I'm like, I'm glad they left that out. You know, like the part where the orthocopter's crashing. I'm like, that's a great scene.
Is that what
was an
those things are
awesome
called?
scene.
I was calling them dragonfly ships.
Well, Katie looks at me and she goes, "That's the coolest ship design I've ever seen."
I've been thinking that this whole time. Like,
freaking awesome.
So great. So great.
So like, and it's weird because you can see how Frank Herbert, Frank Herbert. You can see how he
Frank Herbert.
You can see how he made certain things based off real life. You know, like the sandworms, and they're literally just called sandworms. And I know they have a special name in Dune, but like that's what they refer to them as, sandworms. You know,
and
it's
like
just
the
funny.
whole thing. We don't have lightsabers. We have knives made from their teeth.
Yes,
it's kind of an interesting thing.
God, that was cool. And like the entire time you see Zendaya's character, Chani, but like you don't have any interactions until you get to the very end, and the interactions like
crazy.
Get up, you know, like let's go make this fight. So look at this. Cryptic says, sus.
Pretty sus.
My students love that word, so it's probably one of my students.
You gotta, you know, and would I have wanted more Zendaya in this film? Yes, but
I think we're gonna get that.
That's gonna be the second one. I think I figured it out like about halfway, or a little before halfway through. I was like, okay, we're not. I don't think we're gonna get Zendaya except for in flashbacks for most of this movie and everything. And yes, Cryptics, that is very sus. So,
Sussy Baka. Next year, I will be your student. Great. Well, I'm glad you're in my chat now. Ooh. So, in terms of like, would you take? And I know you wouldn't take Ella to go see this, but if you had like I think
I'll tell her this is Ron's Gone Wrong. Like, yeah, I don't know. It's like it's a little more heady than I thought. This is
crazy. Could you imagine? Where's the funny robot? I will say though,
I would have my rights taken away immediately.
Before I mentioned my next question, I wanted to kind of see what you thought of this. The whole setup of like, you know, and I thought it was such a good moment is whenever the Emperor's like Legion came there for a second, you know, not the bad guys, but like when they came and talked to Duke Leto, when they landed, like that felt so Star Wars with them walking out in those suits and then pulls the scroll open. I'm like, this scroll thing was crazy
to me. That did, but that it felt like again, it felt that like this
Naboo
has that magic, but it is a completely different.
Yes,
it's a different thing for some reason. Because everyone was wearing masks except for the what's her name?
The steward. Oh no. Oh, the Bene Gesserit or no?
The mother. The Bene Gesserit. What do they call her? Mother, godmother.
They called her something. Yeah,
fairy godmother.
The mask was so cool, but no,
cube head.
Yes, cube head. But it felt like,
excuse me.
It felt kind of Jedha-ish. You know what I mean? Like it felt like these things we haven't seen in Star Wars before, like these religious zealots in that way.
I would say the massive ships at the beginning and everything really just were like
said it.
It was breathtaking, and it felt different because honestly it felt more massive than anything we really get in anything else, even in Star Wars, just like like the ships that were taking the Harkonnens away. Whatever those giant tubes were, those
were crazy. Yeah,
are those ships in themselves?
That was the wormhole that would take you from one part of the galaxy to the next. And I think I think we'll get more answers on what those are, because those are controlled by organisms that digest spice, and they can jump, they can time warp, they can like warp space. But so I was one thing I was looking forward to was more like spice visions or like spice dreams, like Boba Fett said. I'm just
spice dream.
Yeah, see, like I want that, right? So we barely got that. Every time Paul inhaled spice, it was like kind of like a visceral dream. But like we didn't see anyone take in spice at all, which was pretty cool. I wanted to see more spice. I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Like That's what I liked about the 80s Dune, was that like when they took Spice, they had these crazy visions of the hand on the moon, and
Mhm.
I like that kind of stuff because it feels very acid trippy. It feels very much like
Well,
a
they said
sci-fi movie. Yeah.
hallucinogenic. Yeah, at the beginning they
Yes.
used the actual word
Psychoactive.
hallucinogenic.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Psychoactive. I'm like,
I was
this is
like,
so
okay.
cool. But like that was a thing. I mean, obviously
Legalize it.
it was
Legalize it.
it was must have been
Sorry.
based off pot or acid back in the 60s, but like I don't think Herbert ever indulged in that. I just think that
No, yeah.
it was
I mean,
culturally
it sounds
of the time, you know?
like acid was huge, and like they thought that like transcendental meditation
Oh,
and
yeah,
stuff like
yeah.
that, you know. So I'm sure that probably factored into it a little bit. Like, okay, this is
And they
where
were
things
all
are
fighting
going.
for it. Mhm. And
Which
the
I mean,
fact
there's
that-
still a little bit of thought like that with people who were, you know, of that sort of spiritual
Oh,
nature
yeah.
or whatever, right?
Oh, yeah.
But continue with your point.
What I was
sir.
gonna say is like you watch this movie and you know the last movie was all based on the spice, and this movie
Mhm.
obviously they made it an important thing, but it wasn't the focal point of the whole movie. It was
Right.
Paul, his struggle, and I think that's one thing that David Lynch Dune kind of missed was like Paul's internal struggle with what does it means to be the Duke now of Duke Atreides, to be the next leader, to be a messiah, and then to have this horrible burden that he's been forced to endure, right? And
Yeah.
now we know that Lady Jessica is pregnant. So you're sitting there, you're like, oh my God. So now she can actually give birth to the next Bene Gesserit, because Paul's not truly a person of the Bene Gesserit because he's a man, and it's an all female, cast of I guess
All female cast.
witches. So
It's a stage show in Vegas.
it just it felt so real. I don't know. It felt so believable. Like I left the movie thinking like, man, this is such a true story of like
it feels
struggles.
grounded, yet it does okay. If Star Wars is a fairy tale in space, this is Game of Thrones in space.
Exactly.
Is honestly what it felt like. It feels like it's a little bit of a heavier story.
Yeah.
And everything, a lot more betrayal, a lot more blood, and things like that. A lot more real world consequences.
Exactly.
On the line.
Where characters actually die, and I'm not trying to mess up Marvel or Star Wars, but like
in
that
horrible ways too.
Yeah,
like in vicious and brutal ways.
Oh yeah, Duncan's death was pretty brutal. So was the ecologist. What was her name? That was brutal. When the doctor died, the doctor with the diamond on his head died.
Yeah,
because of he wanted to free his wife, and Baron Harkonnen was like, you'll have the same fate as her, and kills him. And then Duke Leto biting.
I'll take you to her.
Teeth. God, it was good. It was just good, and it felt good.
It is that. It's that style of old world politics in a futuristic, environment. It's very medieval in a way.
Well, look, it's history too.
Very
it's the battle
old
for the
world.
Middle East. It was them trying to get oil from the Middle East. I mean, we saw that
White
play out in the
people always
90s.
trying to go in and say like, "Oh, we can fix everyone else's problems," when it's like,
Yes.
maybe we should just stop effing with everyone else's shit and just like stay in our lane.
Literally. So you're watching it, and you can see the real life parallels now. Whereas the 60s, it might have not been as evident, but like with the 80s, the oil crisis in the 90s, like all these things are real.
They're
life
in a
now.
forever war there on that planet. It feels
Literally,
like.
just like Middle East and places like Jordan, Israel. It's real. Those struggles are real. And then the Fremen, they're getting their wonderful things taken away from them, and all they want to do is have spice because that's what it's weird.
Well, helps
it's
them
what gives them
survive.
life.
It helps them survive. Yeah,
spice and
it's
water.
not. Yeah.
So this is
a lot of spit in this movie, by the way.
A lot of spit. I wasn't expecting that. Ray,
that
dude,
was a little like 1 to
10, and how bad I should see it. So I don't know how old you are, Cryptics. I can tell you this much. Definitely something you should see above the age of like 13 or 14. I'm just going to be real with you.
Parental guidance for 13
Very
and
much
below. Yes,
very much. There's
It's,
nothing.
This is right on the edge. I don't think it's like terrible. It's not the word. It's not the hardest PG-13 I've ever seen, but it's very. Don't go in thinking it's an action movie.
Yes, and nothing. You know what's really nice? There was
Go in
nothing
expecting
sexual
a
about
story.
it. There was nothing sexual about it, which was now I can't guarantee that for the next. Dune.
Well,
I can't guarantee to the
Well,
next one because of Chani and Paul.
I mean,
That's no guarantee.
Scotty, I don't know if I was the only one with Baron Harkonnen, was just sitting in that steam bath at the beginning.
You're like,
Who was like,
wow.
ooh, that man with the spinal implant.
And the
That
stomach
is
hung
that
over.
is look at that body. Look at that hottie, but that hottie with a body.
So it's so funny, like looking at this movie now, it was, and to answer my future student's question, the idea of it being like, it's kind of an art movie too. I mean, it's shot
Yeah, it's very
so well done.
It's
the
very,
moving shots, everything is great.
I wouldn't be surprised if this gets Oscar attention.
I hope
this
so.
might be the first science fiction film in a long time
to like get steady
to get Oscar attention, because the performances are great, the visual effects are seamless.
Oh, literally, we've gotten to that point. We've gotten to that point. Like in our history.
Even there's still times with good stuff that you're like, I know that's CG, but there's you forget it with a lot of stuff because like I forget what you call the dragonfly ships and stuff again, but
orthocopter.
The orthocopter, like that felt very real. Like it's all very well done, and like you said, the story's very well done. I think it has a lot of political, social undertones that are that get Oscar. Honestly, that stuff gets Oscar attention.
Yeah.
Aside from, I think, being important to be in art, because that's what art always is. It says something about your culture, about your society.
Yeah.
I definitely wouldn't be surprised if this gets decent Oscar attention.
Something,
frankly.
You're right. I mean, like there was some moments in here. I'm sitting and watching this. I'm like, man, the acting is just so on point. When Paul and Lady Jessica are having an argument after they crash the orthocopter. No. Was that before? Whenever they're in the tent, I was like, this is nuts. Like when he screams at her, I was like, this is amazing. I was so drawn in. But so how bad should a young person see it? So a sixth grader, I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not saying it's too intense for you. Some of it might go over your head just because you
Do you like Shakespeare? Because it's a little Shakespearean.
It is
frankly.
very, yes, it is.
It's very honestly, it's kind of like that. If you can dig like a Shakespeare story, I'd say sure, go for it. But I mean, it's more interesting because it's got spaceships and stuff. But again, don't go in. It's got cool moments and stuff. It's got cool things, awesome technology, awesome fight scenes, but it is not an action epic. It's not a Marvel film.
No, good point.
And it's not a Star Wars film either. It's very, go on. What were you going to say?
Very dramatic movie, which was cool because you watch it and you're not hooked on the action so much. But when the action does happen, it's great action. But you're not hooked on it because it's not like, a Matrix movie where they're like spinning them around and like hurting them. Nothing like that. No crazy like camera movement, nothing.
There was the one scene where you see like him in a battle later on. I'm guessing
that was cool
and everything. That was an awesome moment. It's blink. It's so quick.
Yeah,
but that moment is absolutely amazing.
Yes,
and so I think there's going to be a lot more in the next one. And it's not devoid of action. There's a lot of really good sequences. There's a lot of really good a lot of different ways to do technology that we haven't really ever seen in anything before. The laser cutting through the door was interesting.
Brilliant.
I love that thing. I love how their lasers and stuff, it was like they did a lot of stuff like that where it was like it felt very real because that's what it would. You wouldn't be able to really see it.
No, it was thin.
But you would see its effect.
And it's destroying other things.
Yeah, brilliant. So this isn't like pew pew pew. This is it's a little more sciencey. It's a little more science fiction and everything.
No blasters.
Still having those No, but while still having that, like, a lot of swords. It was like swords and sandals in space.
It was weird.
Stuff, a little bit.
Like, imagine, and like the cool thing was the force, not the force suits, the like protective barriers, whatever you would call them. That they were in the shields. Yeah,
like a force field, but not like the force.
Sorry. Force field.
No,
but like literally whenever as a viewer, because you've seen it now so many times, whenever it goes red, that means you're in trouble. but like
Yeah.
they flirted with it too. Did you notice even the ships had that? Whenever the ship would get
Yeah,
hit,
that like
it would go boom, boom. and
it
would
goes like
explode
slow so it could get through.
So cool.
Mhm.
So there were things like that I would love to see in a Star Wars, like that whole moment where they're sabotaged, they're a surprise attack. It was great.
We don't need people only get angry when you bring science into Star Wars. I mean, just like we end up with another bombs don't fall in space.
Yep.
Ships don't blow up either. Okay,
Yeah, they
just
don't.
they just fall. Yeah. Anyway, there's no sound.
Interstellar
there's
did
no
it
nothing.
best.
If you want to, Star Wars movies would be absolutely boring if you
Yes.
wrote them. I'm sorry, they would be absolutely
Yes.
boring if you wrote them. Get over it. Okay.
So
anyway,
how would you rate it as a sci-fi movie and as a story? Where would you really put it? Because we don't get asked this often. We don't usually do ratings on Bombad.
No.
We don't do 1 to 10s. But like, what about you, Jerry? If you could find a way to
Oh.
categorize it.
I mean, it's hard because I don't necessarily want to say a 10, but it's up there.
Yeah.
Because it was it's a great story. This is something that's been around for a long time.
Mhm.
And your light just went off. By the
I know
way.
it's my Google. At 10:30, it just turns off all the lights.
Oh,
and
okay,
starts
okay. I was
doing
gonna
stuff.
say like, oh, Scotty, are you okay? No, I'm just kidding.
I'll keep talking. I'm
Um,
gonna turn it back on.
You're good. You're good. But listen, I think I'm gonna go a 9 right now. I think I'm gonna
Yeah.
go a 9, maybe 8.5, and wait for part 2 to come out.
Sure,
But
and that's fair.
But again, it's a very good film. It's got a lot of great actors in it and everything. I forgot that Javier Bardem is in this.
Yes, he played Stilgard.
Such
Man,
a
that was
small
good.
role too. It felt like, but I was
At
like,
this point.
I didn't
At
see
this
it.
point.
I didn't see it at first, but at the end, I was like,
Oh,
that sounds like Javier Bardem.
yeah.
And I could because he had all the stuff, like he had the mask
Uh-huh.
and everything, and I'm like, is that Javier? It is. It's Javier Bardem. I
Great
love
actor.
him.
Great actor.
But just it's like you said, it is an art film. It's an art
Yes.
film. It's not just science fiction. And I mean there's been a lot of science fiction films that are like I need to watch I'm trying to think of it, Annihilation
Yeah,
again.
me too.
Which that
Mhm.
that's more sci-fi horror as
Mhm.
well, but that was also a beautiful film. A lot
See-
to it in there.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was gonna say that's the hard part about these things
No.
is like when you get a sci-fi movie, a lot of us unfortunately have these preconceived notions of what a sci-fi movie should be. But if you take it as it is in terms of story, I don't think people are usually going to be let down. I will say one
No.
thing: there wasn't
This
a
is pure
boring
sci-fi.
scene. There was not a boring scene in this movie to me. But
No.
I'm a fine if you feel that way, or if anyone feels that way, because some movies drag. But like, it felt like every line kind of counted, and it felt
Yeah.
like whatever is set up in this movie is going to be paid off in the next movie. It didn't it
Yeah.
like because the
It-
fate
it-
of some of these characters, like is it Gordy? Is that his name? Who's Josh Brolin play? Gertie.
Gertie or something.
Yeah, he's going back. I don't know if you know that, but that happened in the David Lynch movie.
Well, I remember.
he's not
I
dead.
remember in the David Lynch movie. He's
Patrick
not, yeah,
Stewart.
yeah.
Mhm. He's not dead. So like there's things where like, and it's nicer doing it in 2 parts because this would have been a 5-hour movie if they didn't do it in 2 parts. And it wouldn't have been that good of a show because the beats have to be right. So like
Right.
they could only have done it this way, which is nice that they greenlit it and they let them do it this way. I don't know how long the next one's going to be. I hope it's long too. But
Well,
it
again, like,
felt good.
Hopefully, we get confirmation that they greenlight it. I don't know why they wouldn't at this point, but I mean, we'll have to see where it goes from here on out. But
I hope so.
it seems like I only saw one person who wasn't excited because they had like one person was like, I gotta watch the Sand movie and stuff.
Yeah.
But I honestly, all I've seen besides that is just Dune's pretty great.
Yeah.
Actually, and everything. It doesn't seem like I haven't seen anyone after watching it be disappointed.
Yes,
So,
I agree. Well, look, Jerry, I'm glad we could talk about this tonight. It looks.
yeah.
Thank you for saying there's no boring scenes. I cannot tell you how many times I was more interested in my candy than the movie itself. Good to know. Well, to me, I mean, you're young. That's one thing I'll say. As an adult,
There's a lot of story.
A lot of
It's
story.
it's packed in. It's packed in, but it's again, if you're into the story, it's very enthralling. To me, it was
Yes.
very enthralling as well. Like I was
Good
okay
point.
because I couldn't remember exactly what happened in the other one. I remembered things
Yes.
like there were scenes where I was like, I remember them having the fight with the shields because I thought that was
Yes.
really dumb in the first one
Very
because they're like
iconic. Mhm.
bat boxes, beep. And there was the scene where the worm eats the
Machine.
spice the
refinery,
spice miner like thing,
Uh-huh.
which in the David Lynch movie looked just like a sandcrawler
Yes,
and everything.
it did for real.
I'm
So
glad they changed up their designs and everything.
one
for
thing I
this.
think is hard to do with the story that it's a big story. The fact that the prologue explained spice, explained the different houses was so well done because it wasn't like the last one. The last one was literally, and let's see if I can emulate it. Hold on, give me 1 second. The last
so
one
you're gonna
was literally this. It was like, hold on. It was like this. Dang it. Why did it
down,
reverse?
buddy, down.
It's like this. Arrakis.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
was literally
she
like this.
turns
It
to
was
the
a
camera.
woman. She's like, this is the
That's why you.
story
That's why
of
you hated it. It was a woman.
Dune.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a dumb lady. It was a dumb chick. So this is the story of Dune. I am the daughter of the emperor. The story will take place primarily on the planet of Arrakis, home of the spice.
It's like someone coming out before. It was
Spice.
like coming out in front of a stage play. And
Literally,
going
and it was-
"Here is
yeah,
the
that-
setting.
It's like Shakespeare. Really, it really was. Actually,
Yeah.
that's a good point. But like,
Well,
this
I
one
mean, I
felt-
wasn't trying to say it was like Willie Shakes, but I'm sure it is.
Willie Shakes, baby. Willie
Willie
with the
Shakes,
shakes.
baby. The glow sticks in the
Yeah.
Okay. No. Another thing I really didn't like about and I'm gonna make Boop mad again. Probably. I just remembered because you said something about like not getting Paul's
Arrakis.
internal monologue, which you get Paul's internal monologue
in the
in
David
the
Lynch
Dune
one.
movie, right? And
It's like, what is he
was
doing?
like, I'm like, what's going on? Is he talking inside of his head right now?
It's so weird.
And he's like,
it's like
wow, she
Father-
has the same knife as my dad.
literally, or
What's
like
going on?
father knows best, or something really weird. You're like, what is happening?
It's like
right now?
overly expository and stuff. It's like Rick
Oh.
Olie's kid or something, but like you can hear his thought. If you could hear Rick Olie's thoughts, it would sound like that.
I love
And again, I'm not trying to knock it, but I thought it was an odd choice, and I really, really, really enjoyed. When I hear that was kind of like that's something like what is Blade Runner, the
Yeah.
original cut. He's got an internal monologue.
voice
Right?
oh, it's brutal.
That was like
Yeah.
an '80s thing, I guess. Like, and
So
some movies,
weird.
some movies it works, but the way that it's used in Dune for me, like in that original one, I'm just like, okay, man, like, can we just? I can see what's going on.
Father
like
is
you-
struggling. Like,
Well, and
yeah,
they
it's
still,
visual
I felt like
storytelling.
they still did a little bit of stuff like that, but it was different. Like they did the whole, like a lot of subtitles in this movie.
Yeah.
By the way, in
It was
different
nice.
ways, a lot of ways of different ways of communicating
Real quick.
that hadn't really been seen before.
Before we
So I
close
thought
it
that
out,
was interesting.
One of
Yeah.
the weirdest intros to a movie of all time was this one, where it was a black screen and it was
Oh,
like
and it said-
"Ula." It was like "Ula," blah, 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 blah. And it was like sleep. What was it? Dreams are just deep. Something. It was weird. It was a great
Dreams-
line.
yeah,
But then it cut to the
I can't
Warner
remember
Brothers tower, and then it cut to the legendary logo, and then the movie started, which was cool. But I'm so used to it being opposite.
it's a
like-
cold open. It was an
It was
absolute cold open.
weird. It
Mhm.
like set the tone pretty quickly too. Just like that one line, it was like 4 seconds and it was gone. But let's try to wrap this thing up, Jerry. I love the movie. If I can put on a scale from 1 to 10, I would
Yeah,
honestly
what do
put
you
it
got?
at a solid 10. It was my most
Okay.
anticipated movie of these past 2 years when they announced it in 2019 with that first photo of Timothée Chalamet as Paul, where he's walking away with the things in the background. I was like,
Yeah.
that is going to be such a cool movie to see in theaters. And I wasn't wrong. But I can tell you this much. I'm going to see it probably 2 more times in theaters and 1 more time at home because I want to, I don't know. I hope it's a movie we talk about in years to come. That people look back on and goes, man, that was one of those movies people should have saw, or that was one of those movies that, that kind of changed things for sci-fi.
Right.
Or,
This is the type of movie that can do that for some people. Like if a younger kid, again, if a younger kid watches this, it's not that younger kids won't like it. It's just that, like I think you got to be like into
eye-opening.
the story and everything.
Yeah.
Like it's not. This isn't an action romp. This is a story.
A sweeping
About
story.
This is a sweeping story about imperialism, about families, about war, about betrayal and things like that. Again, all very Shakespearean
Very
things.
political.
And so, I'd give you that 10. I'd give you that 10. I think that I'd say that's good.
The youths must be taught. You're right, and I do that, Boop. I do that with science. I'll make them watch Dune. Could you imagine? You're gonna watch
David
this.
Lynch one. Watch the David Lynch one and don't complain. That's the watching the David Lynch Dune is the box you stick your hand in and you can't move away. Or like that is the David Lynch Dune. Pain. That's what's in the box. Pain.
So I will say, who played Lady Jessica? I forget her name. She was beautiful. She was in
Rebecca Ferguson,
Doctor
I
Sleep.
think,
Yeah,
right?
She was in Doctor Sleep too. She was great in that movie.
Yes, she was
great in that movie.
Oh man,
great
haunting
movie.
in that movie.
Haunting. So, but in this movie, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, this is all like they made, and I like Lady Jessica as a character from the book and everything because I like the audiobook. But in this, I was like such a mother, like way more motherly than she's been depicted before. So I was like, this is just good. Like there was some tense moments seeing her cry whenever Paul was getting, the hand in the box treatment, and then knowing the
David Lynch's Dune treatment.
Yes. You need to make a meme of
what
that.
if he sticks his hand in there and he's like, this hurts really bad. This feels like someone is screwing 1,000 tiny screws into my hand.
God, I hate that. I forgot about how bad that was. Oh,
sorry. Oh man.
Oh, Boop's my favorite person. We're just pooping on her favorite movie. Well, I took it down. Sorry. Look at that. Don Jabur. Stay Bombad, everyone.
Stay Bombad. This has been fun.
No, but
guys.
really, Jerry, I'm glad we could do this. Jerry, home experience, theater experience, me. I like that we could do that. Not planned, but
two thumbs way up. My
up.
thumb and Scotty's thumb meeting in the middle here. There we go. Like other way.
What is wrong?
Other
with
way.
me?
Other way. This way.
Hold on. Let's actually try this.
Woogity.
Hold on. Do that again. I want to see if we can make like a weird hand. It's close. No, you need to bring yours over more. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. Look at that. What the hell is wrong with this? Ugh.
Woogity. It's God's hand, the hand of the God or something, whatever it is.
Oh, stay Bombad, Cryptics. Glad you can join us this evening. Boo!
Thank you for
Sorry
joining us.
we pooed on your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies. I hope you didn't take offense to it. I can tell you this much. Hopefully, have you seen this one yet, Boop? If you haven't seen this, Dune, you got to see this one. This one is just phenomenal compared.
The boys make a weird hand. We're just gonna become like the Always Sunny crew or something. The gang makes a weird hand.
Oh, Boop! So you saw it, Boop. Just in the chat. Why did you like
1
this
to 10
one more?
in the chat, guys? 1 to 10 in the chat.
She watched.
How
it
would
on
you
my
rate it?
Zune. Is it Zune or Zine? What the hell is a Zine?
A zine.
I have a Zune in here.
In a magazine.
Find it.
It's like a flip book.
She watched it on her 2010 iPad.
You know what? To make it up to Boop, maybe we should play a clip or something. Maybe we could. I don't know what clip. Give us a. You know what? I'm gonna give us a Popeye while Scotty's tying his shoes or something. Or
No, I'm looking for my Zune.
Oh, I was gonna. I was like, what are you doing?
If I can find a way to
Hold on, I'm taking off my pants.
Wait a second now. Shit. Anyway, you can talk, Jerry. Hold on.
Well, you know what? I'm just gonna let our friend Popeye do some talking for me.
Had a little bit of money, so the Lord did me good. Got all kind of shit. Got the glow sticks. I got the gotcha bag. Got the Hawaiian punch. That, man, everybody won't holler at Pop what you need. I got it. If I ain't got it, I can find it. You understand? I'm selling glow sticks. Glow sticks that go with the yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Got the glow sticks.
I will not be satiated with clips, you cretins. Then she says, Popeye, please.
Where is my Zune?
I don't know.
Since 8.
There's a new taste spreading out right across the nation. The frozenated, carbonated, icy drink sensation. You can sip it, you can spoon it, it's the icy surprise. There's Coca-Cola, orange, raspberry, or lime. Everybody, 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 everybody loves icy. Available at all stores displaying the icy sign. Everybody loves icy.
I love the phrase, you can zip it, you can spoon it. So you used to do to girls in high school.
You can zip it, you can spoon it.
You can sip it.
Are we going to spend the last like 10 minutes of the show of you looking for your Zune with your flashlight and everything?
Yeah. What's wrong with that? Where the hell is my Zune? This should be a clip. Boop, clip it.
This needs to end.
No.
Somebody
I want to
kill
find my
us.
Zune. No, do not end this.
Somebody
No,
kill
I have
the
to
show.
I have to find the Zune. I really do. I'm gonna get perturbed if I can't find the Zune. Where is my Zune? Boop, clip this. Boop, where is my Zune? Found it.
I was about to play another clip.
Go Tigers. Hold on.
Go Tigers.
Found my Zune. I'm gonna watch Dune tonight on my Zoom. How do I upload a video to this? Is the software even available?
I'm sure
Time
that
to watch
the
Dune.
Zune store is still a thing, right? Yeah,
No,
sure.
there's no
sure,
way.
Sure.
Does anyone truly remember what the Zune was? Do y'all remember what it was? It was Microsoft's attempt at trying to make an iPod.
It was it
You
was Microsoft's iPod.
This is pretty wild, and I'm sure my grandma's still paying for it on her credit card. But there was a software, there's a service that you can get that you would do. You could literally pay for. It was a $15 a month service where they gave you what they would call a ghost MP3. So it expired after the month of using it. So you would upload the ghost MP3 to your Zune, and then after a month, if you haven't plugged it back in the computer, the MP3 will expire. How wild is that? So that being said, it's like very early streaming in a weird
Technology.
way. Isn't that odd? How crazy is that? I'm gonna let it load up, and then I'm gonna take a picture of it and post it. Jerry, is there anything we need to end with? I know next week we're doing our creepypasta episode. It's going to be a thrill ride, and
it is. Is there anything unlike
on
Dune?
Hyperfocus?
It will be a thrill ride. I'm just kidding. Well, actually, next week I have the one and only Peter Townley coming on.
I forgot. Wow.
Yes, Peter Townley of Star Wars show fame. Will be joining. He's already
what a babe.
He's a Bombad buddy of me and Scotty.
He really it's interesting. He's like our friend.
We've had a bromance blossom from this. It's been pretty great. But he's gonna come on. We're gonna talk about esoteric modern magicians. Like of the 18th, we're going to talk about Aleister Crowley and people of his ilk. And so if you want to hear people talk about like the real Evo Shandors of the universe and stuff, from Ghostbusters.
Eager to hear this. For y'all
it's
that
going
don't
to be
know,
interesting. I re-listened to. He's actually read books. I've listened.
He does his research.
A podcast. He's gonna know more than me. I'm color commentary. I'm gonna be the guy that's gonna be like, yeah, he was really obsessed with his anus, wasn't he? All right.
I'm excited for that. So like,
it's gonna be great.
We'll tell you this much about Peter. When Peter came on to do the Phantom Menace episode with us, like we couldn't get a word in. The dude was a genius. He was like making comparisons.
I'm just gonna sit back and let
go to
him
sleep.
go.
Oh wow. Oh well, look, Bombad fam. We're gonna bounce. I want to try to get Dune on my Zune. I'm gonna literally see if I can upload an image of the movie.
Dune on a Zune. I'm gonna put a wallet in my pocket. And
I'm not.
Don't you make it gross. Don't you make it gross. You dirty bastard.
Jerry. And real quick, I want to plug Podathon. Haven't done that today.
Okay. Yeah. Hey,
Podathon.
plug the Podathon and show us your hog. Hashtag show us your hog.
Man, that made me sneeze. As you can see, Podathon's going to be by the way, they're firing Coach O. I don't know if you saw that. He's actually getting fired. Yeah, he's not doing well this season. They literally are just going to fire him. So they came with a $17 million contract, like Jay Leno did with NBC for Conan. But real quick, as you can see us right here, Bombadcast and Around the Galaxy will be hosting a very big Make-A-Wish charity event called
Do you wanna see us?
Potathon. Okay, November 6th.
Or
Look
do you
at
want this one?
Jerry.
Look at
you,
this.
Jerry.
Look at it fill the screen. That's right.
actually nice. Wow.
Thank you.
Look at
Thank
this.
you.
November 6th,
I think I
2021.
stole it from Pete.
9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We've got a huge event starting that day, starting with Pete and I doing some Star Wars news discussion. So looking at this right here, I hope you're excited, y'all. It's going to be a fantastic event. We are going to be I bet it's massive. He's got a huge hog that probably eats so much.
He's a hog farmer.
Slop. So much slop. But Bombadcast and Around the Galaxy will be hosting this huge event on our separate channels. So stay tuned. We got Force Connect, Tatooine Sun, Star Wars Explained, Tarkin Top Shelf, Blue Bantha Milk Co., Podcast The Wills. I got a shirt by them on right now. Holo Chronicles, Imperial Senate Podcast, Pink Milk, Broaxium, Space Wobbles, and BTB Live. That is going to be a literal crew. And all these shows have great guests. I know Star Wars Explained's got a very interesting concept they're going to try to pull off. I haven't told Jerry this yet. It's going to be wild. I'll tell him about it after the show. Tarkin Top Shelf's going to have Claudia Gray on. Blue Bantha Milk Co. is going to be writing their own Star Wars story. Podcast The World is going to have the actor from The Mandalorian who played the X-Wing pilot. How do you say his name, Jerry? Paul? I forget.
I have to look it up because I always remember him just as he's from Kim's Convenience.
Yeah.
And he is the guy who flies with Dave Filoni.
Yes.
And stuff. That's just because I am 100 years old.
Nick, help us out in the chat because I know you're watching. I think. We also got Holo Chronicles will be doing a game of bounty hunting as well. Imperial Senate Podcast. I don't know what they got going on, but I'm excited to see what it is. Pink Milk's got a great discussion. Paul Sun Hung Lee, great job. Podcast.
I just pulled it up right as you did. Yeah, I was gonna say
Captain Carson Tiva. That's it. Thanks, dude. I appreciate it. Broaxium's gonna have
Cannon
Charles
Junkie
Soule.
right here.
Charles Soule on, y'all. It's gonna be amazing. Space Waffles has got some fun things lined up, and then of course we got David to help kick the morning off with some BTB Live, possibly even disturbances in the force with Pete. That being said, Jerry, we need to get the heck out of here. We need to. I'm tired. Ready to go to bed. What should the wonderful people do?
You guys should all go out there and watch Dune on your Zune or wherever you want to go. And that just slipped in there. I don't know where that came from. Oh man. Listen, try not to remember that image and sleep well and stay bombad.
Stay bombad. Peace.
You shall